Hello, everyone. Walk Hill Bethelite here, and I'm about to share some real stuff here. I've always had this feeling, and this is after Bethel. This feeling that I'm about to tell you guys about, I've had it after Bethel. As a matter of fact, I think I had it before I fully woke up after Bethel. So I've had this feeling that I've had some kind of, and you can take it and run with it, but it is what it is. I've had this feeling that I'm not supposed to be here. I've had this feeling that I'm not supposed to be alive right now. I'm not supposed to be here. And I will explain this to you. This is not suicidal or nothing like that. So don't take it there. But I'm going to explain this. So when I was at Bethel, I took it extremely seriously. I took it as we're here to make sure this organization runs the way it's supposed to run. I'm here at Bethel to make sure this organization runs the way it is supposed to run. That's my assignment directly from God, was my view. So when I got to Bethel and I was dealing with racist people at Bethel in oversight positions, I was dealing with unruly people. I was dealing with people who were at Bethel, but I don't think really believed the religious beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses. My belief was that, okay, I'm here to stick it out. And I'm not trying to sound overly holy or anything, but I wasn't doing any of those things. So my belief was that I was there to suffer, of course, because all these people are here, the racists and all these other people were at Bethel, the people that were doing strange sexual things, all those things. But my view was that God is going to clear them out, and I'm supposed to be there during the refining process while God clears those people out. And then there's going to be all people who actually love Bethel, love God, and are there to serve. Well, that did not happen. Bethel ended up having what amounted to a major layoff, where they're just having people called into offices and told that they had to leave. So that left me trying to figure out, what is my mission here? What did God direct me to Bethel for? I wholeheartedly believe that I was at Bethel because God wanted me there. I wholeheartedly believe that. So I'm trying to make sense of, I'm now being asked to leave. Now, I don't think I've mentioned this, but while I'm in the car driving away from Bethel, trying to figure out where I'm going to go from there, because literally I'm in my car. They put all those boxes of belongings in the car. I'm in my car driving from Bethel. I hadn't even figured out where I was going to go yet. I was in shock, because at that point, my mission from God didn't make sense. My whole religious life, I felt a strong I felt a very strong mission, you could say, that there was always something God wanted me to do, whether it be pioneering, whether it be being a ministerial servant and trying to encourage everybody else in the hall to pioneer. I always felt like I had a direct purpose, always. Well, when Bethel essentially called me and a lot of other people in the office and said, okay, you guys all got to go because we got to cut staffing now. They put all my belongings in boxes, started piling them up in the car. It was up so high I couldn't see out my rear view mirror. And, you know, I was listening to, like I generally had, Watchtower material in my radio. And the material was talking about Jehovah's judgment and anger and things like that. And the way I'm understanding it, I'm not understanding it that God is angry at me for pioneering and going to Bethel. My understanding from what I'm hearing, because I'm trying to pray and figure out while I'm driving what is going on. And on the radio, on a cassette from Watchtower, it was talking about God is angry, his judgment, and nobody can hide from his judgment, and nothing they can do could stop his judgment. And I think I stopped it, and there was some other religious, I'm just flipping through stations because I'm just in shock driving. I hadn't called my father yet because I called my father, and that's how I ended up going over there. But I'm driving, and I listened to just random stations, and there was some religious stuff. And believe it or not, the religious stuff was talking God's judgment, and, you know, God is going to smite those that blah, 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 blah. So I'm praying, and all I'm hearing about is God's judgment. And I'm starting to feel that my mission, and keep in mind, no, this doesn't make sense to you guys, but neither did Bethel having layoffs make sense to me. It made no religious sense to me. So I'm in a state now where nothing religiously makes sense anymore, but I still feel that strong mission. I still feel that strong sense of purpose. So I felt like somehow my mission is to be a part of that judgment. And I didn't know at that time how I was going to accomplish that. But this is serious. This is serious. I felt my mission was to clean out Bethel. Still. But now that they done put me out and laid me off or whatever, and I'm listening to everything on the radio, and it's all talking about God's judgment, and people can't hide no matter what they do. Now I'm feeling like, okay, even though they're sending people away and doing things, keep in mind, I'm thinking this is not what God wants. God does not want them to do this. I felt like there are people at Bethel that God wanted there and people that he didn't want there, and there was a battle between the two. So when the theocratic information I had from Watchtower was in the radio, talking about there's nothing that people can do to hide from God's judgment, I'm feeling like, okay, even though they're doing this, trying to take over Bethel by sending all these people away so that the only people who are there are people that are buddy-buddy with them, they're still going to receive God's judgment somehow. And I'm thinking somehow I'm supposed to do this. Because after leaving Bethel, my mission, my whole goal, everything, it was still Bethel. It was still Bethel. I didn't feel like God was leading me to go back and pioneer. I didn't feel like God was leading me to do anything else but Bethel. It was something at Bethel I was supposed to do. It was something about God sending me to Bethel and making me see that there are people in this organization, in Watchtower organization, taking it over that aren't supposed to. And let's just put, this on video here. So basically I ended up eventually going back to Dayton, Ohio. And by this time, because I had stayed for a period of time in New Jersey. But by the time I ended up back in Dayton, I felt ready. I felt it's time to lash back at these people. And I remember being put in contact with another XJW that lived around the Dayton area. They lived about 45 minutes away. So I'm in the middle of kind of waking up because I was on religious sites trying to proselytize people, trying to preach still. And, I'm putting all this Jehovah's Witness stuff on these other religious sites. And somebody said, okay, I know somebody who was a Jehovah's Witness and we'll get you in contact with them. And they put me in contact with somebody. And I was so ready to go and do this. I don't think I should put this on video, that I told them. When I was put in contact with the other person, who ended up being a person who helped me post waking up from a cult. This person helped me a lot, but when they got me in contact with them, imagine what would have happened had I not been on those websites trying to preach, and somebody would not have gotten me in contact with someone to help. I wouldn't have had nobody to tell what I was about to do. Wouldn't have had nobody to tell me not to do it. But I was ready. I was ready to hop in the car, and there was about to be, in my mind, judgment for Watchtower turning against Jehovah. There was about to be judgment for Watchtower turning against Jehovah. And I was about to be one of the tools to do it. That's what I felt in my heart. That God was contacting people and they were going to be his tool, and this is what was going to happen. And the consequences for what we were about to do was short-sighted, because what we were looking forward to was a new system, a new order, where we're going to live forever, and we're not even going to remember none of the stuff that had happened. So I'm not saying exactly what I was planning on doing, because I don't know that that's smart. I try to be as open as possible without, saying things that's just not smart to say. So I'm not going to tell you what I was planning on doing, but I was about to do it that day. I was about to do it that day. And either I called that person who I was put in contact with, or they called me. And I had the whole thing planned out. I finally had it planned out. I finally had it figured out what I was about to do. And it was about to be destructive. And I didn't know how much of it I was about to judgment. I didn't know how much of Jehovah's judgment I was about to be able to execute before I ended up getting shot by cops or put in jail. I had no idea how much I was about to be able to get done, but I was ready. I was about to do it because I felt strongly that I had no other purpose but that. I didn't feel like I had any other purpose but that. And so I ended up talking to the person, and they ended up taking me to, they talked me out of doing it. And I'm thinking, why would God want this person to talk me out of this? Maybe there's some other way I'm supposed to do it. So I'm still thinking that way. And they ended up taking me to different churches and taking me different places to I'm just experiencing life the way I would not have as a Jehovah's Witness. And that was kind of like a diversion to where I never did it. I never actually did anything. Primarily because there was somebody else there, but I was deep into it. When I was in Watchtower, I was deep into it. To the point where when I got to Bethel and I felt like the knowledge that people are taking over Bethel and doing things like having layoffs that God does not want is not something that the average Jehovah's Witness knew. So I couldn't even talk to other Jehovah's Witnesses about it. But I was just as sure that I'm supposed to lash out and deal Jehovah's judgment to these people that are taking over Watchtower, taking over Kingdom Halls that aren't supposed to be there. I was just as sure that that was my purpose as I was sure that I was supposed to go to Bethel when I applied for Bethel. And this is the interesting part. Is that now, of course, I'm awake now. I know that was the effects of religion. I know it causes people to do things that they would not ordinarily do. Now I'm awake. But I still feel like I was supposed to have done that. I was supposed to be locked up. I'm supposed to be either locked up or dead right now. I feel like I was so sure and I was so devoted to it. And that was my purpose in life after leaving Bethel and figuring out, okay, God isn't going to clean out Bethel. The only reason I could have been at Bethel from a religious standpoint is God was sending me there to show me the corruption so that now I know I'm supposed to help him clean it out. It's weird because I know this was my mind on religion, but now I go to the store, I go and get my juice, and I go and get my candies and go about life, but I feel like I wasn't supposed to have been woken up. I feel like no one was supposed to, that I just got lucky. I feel like, man, I'm not supposed to be here. I was so sure. I was so 100% sure that I'm supposed to be dishing out this judgment. I was 100% sure that's my purpose in life. That even after waking up from the cult and being 100% awoke, I still feel like I was so close to doing it. That was the day I was going to do it, or start doing it in my mind and planning out all the rest. I was so close to doing it that I don't feel like I look around, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be here. I feel like I was supposed to have done something really stupid a long time ago and not be alive right now. I still feel that. To this day, I can't believe how close I was. But fortunately, what ended up happening is I ended up getting in contact with somebody who's a former JW, and they were telling me their side of things and what have you. And, yes, my concept was, okay, when I hear these things, a strong sense of justice causes me to want to go and do something about it. And when I told them, okay, I'm about to do this. I'm about to do this. And I can't remember word for word what they said, but they talked me out of doing it. Oh, man. Everything was set, too. Everything was set. I got up. I was ready. I remember the house that I was staying at, there was nobody there. It just so happened that I was 100% alone. There was nobody there. It felt like everything was set. It's almost like I feel like, no, this was not my mission from God. But as far as the universe was concerned, the pieces were put in place, and that's what was supposed to happen. Have you ever felt like the universe wanted you to go left and then you went right? And then everything glitched out because you went the opposite way of the way you were supposed to go? That's how I feel sometimes. I feel like things just went crazy after I ended up not doing it. And of course, now I'm not going to do anything like that because I'm awake now. I'm awake now. I don't listen to no freaking Watchtower tapes talking about God's judgment no more. I don't listen to no more Watchtower tapes. You know, eventually I end up reading Ray Franz's book, and that's when it's like, wait a minute, all this stuff is wrong. I eventually read Ray Franz's book, and wait a minute, all this is wrong. I'm not cleaning out no Watchtower. Watchtower altogether is wrong, not just some people. So it's the XJW community. That's one of the reasons why I feel it's important to have it. The XJW community, I feel like, is the reason why I'm still here today. And man, Ray Franz's book, Crisis of Conscience, that book saved my life, I think. Because y'all don't understand how zealous I was as a Jehovah's Witness. I was going to a regular meeting, and I was going to Spanish meeting, and I was pioneering. I don't want to do nothing else outside of Watchtower activity. When I got to Bethel, I mean, that amplified. If you could imagine it possibly amplifying, that amplified. I didn't want to do nothing but work at Bethel, and even on days that I didn't have meetings, I wanted to go to meetings. I don't want to do nothing but Watchtowers. Like, I was extreme. I was as extreme as you could be. And because I felt like God was directing me. And this happens to people. This happens to people where they feel God is talking to them. God is telling them something. He's in ways communicating with them, and they end up doing things that's not good under that type of mindset. But most of the things I was doing, I felt God wants me to, for some, I don't know why, but this ain't my meeting, but God wants me to go to multiple meetings, and that way I get more comments. Not that I give more comments, but I get to hear from more people, and I just get more spirituality. I'm glad that I got put in contact with XJW community, which at the time I didn't think of it that way. I didn't think of, I getting put in contact with the XJW community. I just felt like I had somebody to talk to. I felt like I had one person at least to talk to. And to this day, I go about my regular business, getting my candy, and I'm sitting in this shop like, man, I'm not supposed to be here. I was supposed to have done something really crazy and really stupid and made the news with Jehovah's Witnesses and probably been the only, ex-member to have done something that dumb. But I've even told relatives this, that I felt like I'm supposed to be in jail. I'm supposed to be locked up. Like this, I was this close. I was this close. If I wouldn't have got that phone call that day, it was gonna happen. And I was, anything that happened to me, I'd have felt like it was just persecution. And I'd have just been in a paradise and it would have been fine. Comment down below, let me know what you think. 937-789-4029. Y'all know I keep it real. X Wallkill Bethelite. I gotta get ready to go to work. Signing out.